Crypto is such an international industry, and our next panel is focusing on an industry and a region particularly close to my heart. I'm also based here. We're focusing on the UAE, how it's evolved in 2021, and also where it might be heading. Now, before I introduce our moderator and our speakers for today, I would like to thank everyone that has taken part in the panel so far,
Crypto
and
is
also all of our
an international industry,
and all of our promotions that have been moving forward. We've had some great attendees so far. Do note it is still until December the 25th. You can take part and win some fantastic Christmas prizes. Head over to coinmarketcap.com/Christmas for any more information. I'll also be dropping some comments in the chat. And if you do have any questions for our speakers, make sure to drop those in the comments as well. As we are live, I'm now going to hand over to our fantastic moderator who will be session, Miss Irina Heaver, who is from UpLift DAO and also known as the crypto lawyer here in the UAE. So Irina, thank you so much for moderating. I'm going to hand the floor over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you very much for organizing this wonderful panel of real UAE experts. We are absolutely honored that we got joined by top leaders from the UAE crypto space. I want to give a huge shout out to Talal, the CEO of CoinMena. Give him a follow, check out CoinMena. Saeed Darmaki, the CEO of Sheesha Finance and the head of Casper Labs in the Middle East. And of course, Dr. Marwan, the CEO of Dubai Blockchain Center and the lead of the Digital Assets Task Force. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us, and thank you very much for being here. Let's start from the very beginning. While the world shut down in 2020 because of the uncertainty surrounding the pandemic, UAE, although shut down for quite a brief period of time, but then opened up in a safe and secure manner. Businesses are open, and that led to huge things happening in the UAE, in the crypto space specifically in 2020 and 2021. Do you want to start? Let's start with that. What exciting things have happened over these 2 years while the world just basically sat down and shut down their companies? Talal, their businesses. Talal, do you want to start with that very briefly? The first screen for me.
I consider myself a very lucky guy to be living in Dubai, honestly. While all the world has kind of taken a passive approach on life in the past 2 years, prioritizing lockdowns, Dubai has, as it has always done, was able to make sure that there are precautions in place, masks, social distancing and whatnot, but life goes on. That's what Dubai has been doing the past 30 years, persevering throughout any of the obstacles, and there's always the idea of let's turn this problem into an opportunity. So I think specifically focused on the crypto space, Dubai was never really on people's radars when it came to crypto. If you used to work in other industries, yes, obviously Dubai was, but 4 years ago, no one in the crypto industry really considered Dubai to be home. The amount of developers, founders, and the overall ecosystem has grown tremendously in the past year. And I think yesterday's announcement of Binance signing a deal with Dubai World Trade Center is going to be a huge plus for the crypto ecosystem. And basically the pie will become much bigger because that will come with a good amount of exposure. But yeah, what Dubai have done over the past 2 years is insanely impressive, but it shouldn't be a surprise because Dubai has been doing amazing things for as long as I've been alive.
Absolutely. Saeed, what cool and exciting things have you witnessed over the last 2 years? Which points you want to mention? What are the amazing initiatives that are coming out of Dubai and, established and progressed over these 2 years?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Talal said about Binance and the Dubai World Trade Center. I think that's been extremely important news and has put the spotlight on Dubai and gotten the UAE a huge amount of exposure. I met with CZ a few times in Dubai, and he's super excited about working here and getting business done here. And he's been very impressed with the ecosystem and the infrastructure here. And I'm very happy to see that, he's been here and he's been making things happen. And a special shout out as well to a very dear friend of mine, Gabriel Abid, who's the ambassador of Barbados to the UAE. He's been doing tremendous work in the UAE as well, and UAE is home to him too. And I know for a fact that he has done a lot of work in the background to make this latest announcement happen, along with CZ and the Binance team. So that's been amazing for the UAE. But in terms of other things that I think have been very important, I think the DMCC Crypto Center, with about 130 blockchain companies that have set up there, that's been very important for the ecosystem and the infrastructure. And I think the work that the CV Labs folks and team have done, especially Ralph Glabishnik, has been super impressive and very important. And everybody plays their part in the UAE. And, you know, I have huge amount of respect and for Dr. Marwan here, who's with us, and he's been doing a lot of amazing work in the background and not been shouting much about it, but you know, that work hasn't gone unnoticed as well. There's so many people in the industry here who have come to do business and who have come to develop the ecosystem and the infrastructure, and I think it's been amazing to see. But another important thing that has happened is last week it was announced that Crypto Oasis Centio has been launched, and that is a fund that's focusing on investing early stage on the token side of crypto and blockchain projects that are setting up in the UAE. So that's important in terms of capital and funding projects that want to set up here. But I think, you know, the bigger names that could move over to Dubai and do business in Dubai and the UAE, the more the ecosystem and the infrastructure will grow. So I think this is just the beginning, and you're going to see a lot more developments happening over the next few years as well.
Very good, very great. I mean, Dubai has always been known to be a fintech and a tech hub in the Middle East. So now being the crypto, it's, you know, it's a very obvious step. Dr. Marwan, the Dubai Future Foundation has done a lot of work in terms of promoting Dubai as a technology, as a fintech hub. You're now leading the Digital Assets Task Force with the Dubai Future Foundation, and also being the CEO of Dubai Blockchain Center. Can you give us more information on that, and what sort of initiatives are you leading? What sort of initiatives that you are see coming up? You know, of course, what you can talk about. And we all know that you're very modest and you're not going to shout your own praises, but we are here for you to do that for you.
All right. Thank you, first of all, for having me. CoinMarketCap itself has been amazing for the ecosystem as well, showing us what projects are there, what are the market caps that are there, rankings, and other insights into the industry. And I think this is a huge role in easing industry, fresh people coming in from, retail investors to even, country level, nation level, strategies to see what is the huge market cap that this industry is actually creating. I think every one of us plays a role, and a lot of us underestimate the role that they are playing. I remember in 2018 when I first met with Talal, he was doing something totally different, and he was trying to raise funds at that time, and there was no such thing, no such tool to show people and help people, no ecosystem in the UAE, and he had to travel abroad to actually get funding. But that's completely, the landscape has completely changed now. In the UAE, we have proper regulations. We have 5 different, or even more, as we speak, actually, more jurisdictions where you have a choice as a business within the crypto and blockchain space to actually really find the proper setup where you can base your company out of. You have a lot of VCs that have moved to the UAE. You have a lot of funding choices. You have alternative investments as well here. You can invest in crypto, you can invest in property, you can invest in a lot of things in Dubai. And to back it all up, the regulation has matured throughout the years. And every single time we have opinion papers, we have positioning papers, the actual regulators have an open mind where they can completely change the laws based on feedbacks coming from the investors as well as the companies that are within the space. So it is all an amazing ecosystem here. It is all an open-minded and forward-looking based leadership here in the UAE. And I think it's the best environment to base your company in. And that's not me tooting, our own horn, but it is actually the reality here in Dubai, and you owe it to yourself to come and see the ecosystem here. A lot of people who are in the gaming industry, when they came to our gaming events here, they saw the crypto ecosystem, and they completely shifted from gaming to gamify and play to earn models. And this is a story to tell to people on an individual level. Every single one of us has his own story to tell about crypto and the UAE, and I think it's worth telling those in places like this.
It's okay, we can toot our own horn. We are a bunch of people who've been living in the UAE. I mean, Dr. Marwan and Saeed, of course, from the UAE and lived there all their lives. And I've been in Dubai for 13 years and Talal for 10 plus years. So it's okay, we can toot our own horn. It's absolutely normal. And of course, let's talk about the benefits. Why should you be based in Dubai? Why should people consider Dubai, right? Of course, the obvious one, the beautiful weather, and of course, the beautiful, the tax benefits. There is no corporate tax, there's no personal income tax. Then, of course, the free zones and the wonderful infrastructure, internet, roads, ports, airports. What other, really wonderful things that add to the whole ecosystem, right? Because you need to have the infrastructure. Talal, what other things that people need to know about before to entice them to move to the UAE?
Yeah, so we previously said we're not going to blow our own horn, but I'm going to blow the hell out of it because it's really deservedly so. In my opinion, Dubai is the first world, right? Maybe 20 years ago, the first world was the US, London, whatever. I think Dubai is the first world. Last year, when people were scrambling to get vaccines, you could download the DHA app, schedule your booking, you're done and vaccinated. Or anyone that has a UAE residency. Compare that to how it happened in other countries, it was an absolute chaos. If you think of how easy it is to travel in and out, like after you try out Emirates Airlines, you feel like you're riding a bus when you go to another airline. So Dubai is I think there's 6 billion people within a 4 or 5 hour flight, which means you can decide to go on a weekend to Sri Lanka and it wouldn't cost you that much. Travel is something that is insanely important out of Dubai. You can go pretty much anywhere in the world, extremely accessible. I have to also mention food. I don't think there's any city that I know that's as diverse as Dubai. Like you can have the most original Syrian food and the most original Chinese food in the same city in a way that's, I think, very hard to compare with anywhere else in the world. If you think of how diverse the population in the UAE is. And then Dubai, I think over the past 20 years has shown that there is the Dubai dream. If you ask many people that live in India, Jordan, and other parts of the world, what do you want to do? The equivalent of the American dream is today moving to Dubai and improving your quality of life in ways that are previously unimaginable in other countries. Like really, the biggest downside of Dubai that it spoils you. One thing that happened with my friend who took his kids to a vacation in Italy. They asked him, Baba, why is this city so old? Like, want to go back to Dubai? And that was Venice. Yeah, I guess Dubai spoils you, and anyone that visits here takes them a week or so to figure that out. So, yeah,
fantastic. So that's
yeah.
That's the lifestyle, which is very important. But what about the talent? Because to build companies, you need talent, you need other resources. Saeed, can you let us know what has happened over the last couple of years in terms of talent, in terms of networking opportunities? And of course, you need finances. You cannot just start a company in a beautiful city with nothing else available.
Yeah, so I think it's worth also mentioning that Joseph Holm from Draper Garnholm, who are our strategic partners at Sheesha Finance, he has moved to Dubai, and the likes of those kind of tier 1 VCs. Another name I should mention is Woodstock Fund. They're also based in Dubai. They've shifted operations to Dubai, and a lot of other, top class VCs have moved to Dubai to be able to tap into and invest in the ecosystem here. But I think also another thing to mention is something that the likes of CoinMena is doing, which is the infrastructure play, which is exchanges in the Abu Dhabi global market. You have a few regulated exchanges that have launched like mid chains and so on. And then there's a lot of other exchanges that are popping up as well in the ADGM, and those are regulated crypto exchanges. So in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the capital, and then finally with the talent, I think in the last year or two, I've seen a lot more UAE nationals who are embracing blockchain technology and who are participating in the crypto markets than I've seen. For example, 4 years ago, there's an exponential number of people, a growth in the number of people that have been, looking at blockchain technology, studying it, and actually getting educated in the technology as well, and participating in the crypto markets. So it's a combination of capital, ecosystem, infrastructure, talent. But I definitely would love to see a lot more talent coming into the UAE, and more specifically, a lot more local talent coming through in the UAE. And I think there are plans with universities and the Ministry of Education to kind of embrace blockchain technology and get some qualifications and education certificates out around blockchain technology. So that's something that's, I think, increasingly important. The number of talent that's coming into the UAE is growing, but the talent that's locally sourced is not as fastly growing, but I'd like to see that grow. And for sure, I will be doing my part in encouraging the local talent and the youth to embrace the technology and to build using blockchain technology here as well.
Yes, it's very encouraging to see younger people, younger locals going into this space, starting companies, starting to work for other startups. It's very encouraging to see that. And there are several initiatives in Sharjah that is going on with Sharjah University. There's huge university campuses and they're now studying, coding, and which is very encouraging. And I've seen some of the startups that are coming out from those campuses. 18-year-olds taught themselves Solidity watching YouTube videos. I mean, that's just amazing to see that. I mean, I think kids are, nowadays it's just incredible what they're doing. And of course, it's very important to have talent, to have the know-how, but you need funds, right? I also want to give a shout out to our friends at New Tribe Capital. I think they've been doing excellent work supporting companies. There's a new fund, Ikigai Ventures, established in Luxembourg, and we're going to be supporting crypto companies all over, specifically, on the token space. Dr. Marwan, when it comes to the regulations and the regulators, I truly believe that country states, city states, smaller countries will inherit the future, because when you're small, you can move faster and you can, get direct feedback from the industry leaders and from the industry participants in order to make the environment as friendly for them as possible. And I think Dubai specifically has absolutely proven how we can move very fast and we can be very agile. Can you give us more on that? Are there any interesting initiatives coming out specifically on the regulatory side? Any secret information you can share with us? So we're the first ones to know.
Thank you, Irina. I think, look, Dubai has always been at the forefront of technology and also regulation, as well as we had leadership, and we still have leadership that have always pushed the envelope when it comes to technology adoption by setting really aggressive strategies and really aggressive timelines for achieving those goals for those strategies. And blockchain and cryptocurrencies are no different. So while others were talking about creating strategies right now, our strategy already finished in 2020, actually, the Dubai blockchain strategy. And we achieved all the goals. All applicable use cases on blockchain have been achieved, have been already in the Dubai government, and also on the UAE level in 2021. 50% of government use cases on the blockchain that were supposed to be on the blockchain were actually already on the blockchain. This includes land departments, settlements, other logistics-based projects, and those are all privileged blockchain projects. There are also a number of other initiatives in the government for regulating of cryptocurrencies. We've seen ADGM coming up with exchange regulation. We've seen DMCC with OTC licenses and crypto licenses with banking facilities out of the banks in Europe, as well as the IFC with their tokenization positioning paper, as well as SCA on the UAE federal level published an opinion paper a couple of days ago, and the deadline is actually 27th, so in a few days. And with those, you can see that the leadership is looking for this technology to set the pace for the future technologies as well, such as AI and others. At the same time, they didn't jump in all in and do everything. It's a phased approach. And as you can see with the Dubai World Trade Center Authority, it was launched earlier this year. There was an MOU signed with Talal Tabbaa here from CoinMena, as well as a few days ago with Binance to help the regulators here understand the landscape, first of all. Dubai has always been priding itself from doing this PPP model, which is private-public partnership. We do not move and dictate laws on people. We ask and consult. We work together rather than dictate what has to be done and enforce regulation. Even in where I work, which is the Digital Dubai and the Dubai Electronic Signature Center, we changed the name from audit to compliance support. We are here to shift your mindset as a company within the space, that we are your partners rather than your auditor or your regulator.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Talal, let's talk about your favorite topic, Bitcoin. Can you give us some few words on what is the adoption like? What work are you doing in order to make the adoption rails easier? Because it's quite important. So it's wonderful to have all sorts of initiatives, but if you do not have that basic support, that infrastructure layer, it will be very difficult for everybody involved.
Yeah, fully agreed. So I think having the ability to move between crypto to cash and cash to crypto, and when I say cash, that means your bank account, card, and traditional means of finance. That base has to be there for other crypto applications to be built on top of it. So if you think of how NFTs have exploded in the United States with the involvement of the NBA, top artists, etc., it would have been impossible for them to take part, or for NFTs to go that mainstream. There wasn't easy ways to involve yourself and get into the crypto world. Like the amount of people that own an Ethereum wallet in San Francisco is higher than that of the ones in Jordan, for example. And that's because Jordan, you don't have regulated on-ramps and off-ramps. So at CoinMena, our goal is to bring millions of people from the region into the world of crypto. And then start expanding by offering them other types of financial services instruments, also built on top of crypto rails. But yeah, it's extremely exciting. In terms of adoption, global rates, so global adoption of crypto is around 4%. To around 4% of the world, just below that, have owned or interacted with crypto. In the Middle East, the number is below 2%. So even though there's been great moves, the potential is still so massive that a Binance coming to town or another big exchange coming to town will be a net positive for all players. There's a quote that I started using a lot more after working in crypto, which is a rising tide lifts all ships. Like there is a situation where CoinMena and the other competitors all have a successful and good time because of how big the market is and how underserved it is. Yeah, that's.
And I think it's also very important to note the Middle Eastern population is very young, right? And there's a very high penetration of mobile devices, smart devices, and there's a very low banking penetration, banking rates. If we exclude Israel, less than 15% of the people in Middle East, and I include Turkey, I include North Africa, are banked. So the opportunity for crypto is just immense, and we're 600 million people. So when people fight for a piece of the pie, for me it's like almost funny. The pie is so huge and we should just all get together and make more pies, because that's the only way we can all benefit. Thank you for this, Talal. Saeed, with your work in Sheesha Finance, you put Middle East, you put DeFi into the Middle East, you put Middle East into the DeFi scene. Can you give us more information? What's happening there? What's happening with the DeFi space? Do people understand this, or is it still very early days and you need to do even more work than you're currently doing?
Yeah, I think Talal threw out an interesting stat in that, 4% of the world population has been involved in or is participating in crypto. And that percentage is even much, much lower when it comes to DeFi and decentralized finance. So I think the market cap of decentralized finance applications and tokens in the market right now is considerably higher than it was a year ago. But compared to the total market cap of crypto, it's still a fraction of that. So I think there's still tremendous potential for decentralized finance. I think decentralized finance, when somebody asks me about it, it's simply a protocol that is disrupting the traditional finance system, such as banks and mortgages and borrowing and lending and so on. So I think what we're doing at Sheesha Finance is disrupting the traditional VC model, which is, you have to have a minimum amount to invest, you have to do KYC, AML, you have to pay a performance fee, you have to pay a management fee, and it's pretty centralized. With Sheesha Finance, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give access to a diversified crypto portfolio that our research and investment team has put together and has been investing in, and giving everyday users and crypto users access to that portfolio without having to pay those excessive fees and having to go through all the regulatory requirements that the traditional fund would need to. But yeah, there's so many products and services out there that are still yet to come out to disrupt the traditional financial system. And I think DeFi is here to stay and is going to have tremendous growth over the next few years. And talking about the regulator, I had a sit down a couple of weeks ago with somebody from the ADGM, and they were asking me a lot of questions about, is there a way that we can, come out with something that is a regulated DeFi protocol or a regulated DeFi system, or maybe issue a license around decentralized finance applications and platforms. And that was an extremely interesting discussion, and I shared my thoughts and ideas around that. And I hope that in the next few months or the next few years, there will be, an option for people to participate in DeFi protocols in a regulated fashion, similar to what you see with exchanges and centralized exchanges at the moment.
Well, that's certainly very encouraging when regulators are putting DeFi on the agenda. And thank you very much for the work that you're doing to make sure that it does happen. Dr. Marwan, let's switch to our favorite topic, gamify and play to earn and NFTs. There's some incredible work which is going worldwide, something like the statistics are just crazy. The gamify companies or the gaming companies that are turning into gamify, combining gaming and DeFi, are just exploded over the last year. And the AIBC Summit, which is happening in March in Dubai, a huge portion of that will be dedicated specifically to gamify and the NFTs and the future of that, because I think it's also a quite an interesting on-ramp. You take gamers, you show them how they can play their favorite games, and at the same time involve them with the NFTs and tokens and crypto. I think that's just match made in heaven. What do you think about that, and what predictions can you make in that regard?
So myself, I always look to where the puck is gonna be, not where the puck has been or where it is right now. And it's always to look at, good to look at the crypto ecosystem and where things are. Saeed mentioned DeFi, and that's one of the things that we've been looking at my investment company, which is called Abdulrahman Investment. And we've been investing in DeFi platforms rather than putting our money in DeFi contracts and things like that. And even with gaming, it's no different. So gaming and more specifically play to earn and NFTs within games, and even lending items within games, and all this yield kind of system for game objects are an amazing ecosystem, and it's a really good way to monetize for gaming ecosystem partners. This includes things like payment processing, on-ramp, off-ramp companies. This includes game developers, game studios, other ecosystem partners like designers, business flow, experts, and crypto economics. It's an amazing and exciting space right now. Gaming is what takes, like I would say, 80% of my time right now. and investing in those gaming platforms is what is, from even events. As you know, I'm the local partner for, and that's my daughter. She heard gaming, she came. Say hi, Aya. Uh, and so gaming is amazing, and I think kids like my daughter Aya, he will be earning more money than me by the time she's 16 from gaming. I believe that really, and I think the model is flipped where our parents were telling us, encouraging us not to play games because it's a waste of time and money. Now they will encourage us to play even more game, and if we play outside, they will tell us come inside and play some games, make your mama some money.
Well, well, I
It's
hope, I
good.
hope, hope that will not happen. I hope my mind will be still running around and playing outside. Um, we're
But you see how
having
the
so
dynamic is
many.
changing, right?
Say it again.
You see how the dynamic is changing.
Oh, yeah.
Addiction, game addiction, that kind of stuff could be a profession rather than addiction.
And there's so many professional players right now making so much money. And I went to law school for 10 years. So I'm really questioning my life choices here for sure. So we have so many questions coming up from our audience. Unfortunately, we will not be able to answer all of them now, but please do continue sending the questions, address them specifically to Talal, to Saeed, or to Dr. Marwan, and we will make sure to pass them, and we will make some, roundup of answering questions. But there's one very interesting question that I liked, and please, a couple of minutes from each of you. When a new individual comes to relocate to Dubai with his or her company and trying to set up in Dubai, in the UAE, give us top 3 tips how to integrate in our crypto community. We've known each other for years and we're pretty tight. So how do we, and we are all very welcoming and friendly. There's lots of events and everybody's more than welcome to join. But 3 top tips how to integrate faster, quicker, and how to be part of our very vibrant and very tight and very awesome and supporting crypto community in the UAE. Talal, please.
Yeah, so it's great that we have Dr. Marwan and Saeed on this call, because the first way to get integrated is to ask these 2 lovely gentlemen to add you to all the crypto groups that they are admins of. I think there must be at least a good 5-6 crypto groups in the UAE that combine all of the ecosystem. And if I'm not mistaken, Saeed and Dr. Marwan are admins in pretty much every group I'm in. So reach out to the guys, ask them to add you on the WhatsApp groups. Second of all, and the shameless marketing here is you sign up an account on CoinMena, because you need a way to move your crypto into cash and your cash into crypto, and have the ability to use the best exchange in the Middle East. So that's the second thing you would do. And the third thing you would do is actually go to physical events. Dubai has opened up to physical events for over a year now. DIFC, ADGM, Dubai Future Foundation, Dubai Blockchain Center. There's so many in-person events that are probably the best way to meet up, because I met all 3 of you at those physical events, right? Some of which in 2015, 17, and 18. But yeah, so those would be my 3 tips.
Yeah, and shameless plug for AIBC Summit at the end of March. And Saeed, what are your top 3 tips how to get established and get integrated into our amazing ecosystem?
Yeah, I think similar to what Talal mentioned, I think you definitely need to establish relationships and trust and have a track record in the space and in the local market here as well. I think it's also prudent to get legal and compliance kind of advice from lawyers that are based here to try and find the best structure to set up in. You also probably need to kind of have local backers and partners who will support you in your efforts to establish your business here. Marketing is super important. Attending events is really important. Getting to know the actual capital providers and the people who are investing in the ecosystem and the infrastructure as well is very important. And then lastly, I think looking at all the different free zones and the options that are available to set up in, one of them being the MCC Crypto Center, the DIFC, the Dubai World Trade Center Authority right now, the Abu Dhabi Global Market. So there's several options out there, but I think assessing which one is the best for your business is something that's an important exercise to carry out before you actually move your operations here. But I think all of these put together are very important.
Excellent points. Thank you for this. Dr. Marwan, any Any couple of hot tips how how can people faster become part of UAE's ecosystem?
I think both Talal and Saeed mentioned amazing points, which is connection, right? Come see people in an event. Don't come by yourself and just walk around in Dubai and expect to run into crypto people. Come, increase your chances of meeting people that you like. Come to events like AIBC, for example, or Future Blockchain Summit, or any of the other events. We had 40 something events in the September, we call it Techtober period in Dubai, which is from September to December. And in those events, I met thousands of new people that I haven't met even in Dubai before. It's an amazing opportunity to rub shoulders against, other people within the industry and also from outside the industry. Alongside those events that are crypto events, there are family investment events, there are business events, there are awards and ceremonies, there are meetups and after parties in Dubai, and you can experience the lifestyle of Dubai in 1 week rather than a month, and you owe it to yourself to experience that, and you also owe it to yourself to go and visit the different jurisdictions within Dubai and see, who is going to be your regulator. Rub shoulders with him, have a meeting with him, have coffee with him. If you're going to, move to a new neighborhood, you check out your neighbors, right? You should do the same. If you're going to move into a new regulation, zone or free zone, you owe it to yourself to go and meet the regulator and sit down with them and understand their vision and understand what they want to do with the space. So even I saw big exchanges wanting to move to Dubai and asking me where I should base, our company. I said, did you go visit ADGM? Did you go visit the MCC? Did you go visit the different zones that you want to base your company in? First, go visit them, and then when you're conflict between two of them, then come back to us and ask us. But I think it is better to go and do the homework and meet the people, because we are people and we want this.
And I think it's very important to note we are a friendly bunch. The regulators are friendly neighbors. The regulators there help, and the free zone authorities are there to help, which is quite different from the European approach. The regulators are there to hit you on the head with a stick, right? So that's why we love the UAE. And another thing interesting to note, over 50 funds that are specifically focusing on DeFi and gamify space were specifically invited to come to Dubai in March. So I think March is a wonderful time seasonally and also strategically to come to Dubai. So you are all welcome, and you are all mostly heartfelt welcome from all of us. Jessica, thank you so much for being here for us and putting this panel together. I am handing over to you.
Thank you so much. So a big thank you to Irina there for moderating. There were some excellent points. Thank you to all of our speakers. It was really a pleasure to hear some insights on Dubai, and I'm sure 2022 is going to be an equally exciting time. Thank you all so much for your insights, and thank you all so much for watching the live stream. We do have one more live stream today talking about smart cities actually making their way and moving on to the metaverse, and also physical governments moving into the world of metaverse. So guys, make sure to tune in and not miss out, and see you all again very soon. Guys, thank you so much for your participation today.
Thank you.